Hi. Hi, everybody. Hope everyone's doing well today. I know I am. I'm having a great day, actually. Got up. And I ate. Actually, no, I didn't. Got up. And I worked out and stuff. And then I went to eat. And stuffs like that. It's nice. And now I'm streaming. I'm actually really excited for today because we're gonna play Dragon Age. And with Dragon Age, I know that we're going... we're gonna be going to a new area, which I'm excited for. So... I can't wait for that. Hope everybody doing good. I also recorded The Witcher yesterday. I need to finish editing because I edited a bit of it and then I was at the end and then I was like, I'm gonna go to bed. So I didn't finish it. Sadly. But I'll probably finish it after my stream today. I'm excited. I also updated one of my scenes, so my vertical screen, it looks a little bit better. So, because the camera was nice, but it needed to be a little bit, you know, wider. But I like it. I like it a lot. Satan. Harry! Watch the butcher You're having internet issues. Oh no, is that what you ended? Thank you for the raid. If you're new here, hi. My name is Audrey. I'm a streamer here on Twitch. I play a lot of story games. And today we're playing Dragon Age Inquisition, which I'm doing an evil playthrough for. I'm also playing Dark Souls 3 on Twitch. Oh no! But y'all should follow Harry. Harry's doing Dixper today. And he's doing new stuff. Toxic Wednesdays is next, right? And then we're doing variety days on Friday. I can't wait for that. I can't wait to watch you play Skyrim. No, I don't. Don't lie. I do not play DVD. I do not do that. Not anymore. But I hope you had a great stream. How was Dixper? I hope everything was fun with that. I was kind of in and out because I was doing stuff. But yeah. Thanks so much for rating. Yes, kill her tomorrow. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Oh wait, it was Toxic Tuesdays, not Wednesdays. Why did I think Wednesday? Am I dumb? I think I am. Can't wait to watch you play Dick Slinger. I knew that. I knew that. I knew that. Yep. Mm-hmm. I knew that. I knew that. Cringe. What kind of person am I? Did you? Absolutely not. I definitely didn't. Oops. I'm dying. Sorry. My mom just woke up and she went in my room to talk. Did you get any achievements today, Harry? Also, I love how Dixper, oh no. Oh, I'll get there, don't worry. I'll make sure it gets to 250. I have like 60, so you know I'll get there. I have so many. No, I had like 4, and then it was like, hey, you can get your old skills back. I was like, what? And then I got all of my stuff, so happy about it. Hey, if you need to go take care of yourself, you can go do that. I know streaming can be draining. Oh, speaking of, well, actually that's not. So Dragon Age Inquisition has a multiplayer. Okay, I played it yesterday. Cause someone messaged me and they were like, hey, you wanna play Dragon Age? Here's the thing. I thought they meant like share their screen and we can play the store together. Not the actual multiplayer. I was like, sure. Why not? It was funny. No, cause it was so fucking it was glitchy. I had to be the host at some point because whenever they hosted, I'm not kidding. Sorry. So whenever they hosted, it was so bad, okay? Whenever I was in the chat, not chat, sorry. Whenever Hi Lobo, how are you? It's doing good today. Thank you for asking. So, in the beginning, whenever I would like load in, everyone was invisible. Or like they were on the other side of the map when they were actually next to me. It was so weird. Like I could see magic and stuff being used and arrows, but they weren't there. It was funny. And apparently there were like enemies and I couldn't see them. Didn't really. I'm so sorry, Harry. Doing good. Just enjoying days off. Ooh, yeah. We love days off. How would you find me? Did you find me through Harry? Or did you find me through something else? If you don't mind me asking, you don't have to answer. Hi, Albatrax. Thank you for redeeming fares. How are you? If you wish to talk. You don't have to. Was loading. Oh no. Harry, I think your internet is trash right now. I mean, we knew that. Oh yeah, Harry! Harry! My chat loaded. You remember when I was having issues? So, I had to load in a new chat. Because the actual chat thing, like, doc wasn't showing up. What? I said, how are you? Thank you for reading me first. Let me move my mic. Yeah, you're good? Glad you're doing good. No. I can't because my desk sucks. So I need a new desk before I can get a mic arm. Which sucks. Huh? What do you mean no sound? Yeah. I see, okay. My desk, it has a thing, okay? Like, the edge of the desk, I have to have stuff be on the desk in order to use anything. It's so annoying. Like, my light, so I have an Elgato key light air. But I had to get the key light that's on the desk and not connected because I can't even have anything connected to the desk. It's so frustrating. No, it's okay. Did you accidentally mute me? It can happen. Yeah. Yeah, that's why I've been looking at desks, but also I'm trying to upgrade my PC, so that's probably gonna be like the last thing I upgrade. I need better CPU and stuff. This is what I've been saving for. And then I was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna buy a new mic. Ah, okay. Gonna pickle. Okay, Harry. I hope you have a great dinner. Ooh. Yeah, I'm gonna have to like look at desks and find the best for like type of mic boom arm I want, which I don't even know which one's good. I know they make stuff. I know they make arms specifically for this mic, so I might have to look into those. IKEA. And I'm gonna have to look at stuff eventually. Not yet though. Yeah, I know what you mean. I know IKEA is a great place for desks. I have bad memory, so I will have to I'm gonna have to write it down though. Hi Craig, how are you? I hope you're doing well. Yeah, my memory is shit. I wish it was better, but maybe one day I'll get a desk that's good. No, it's okay. I wrote down. So we're good. Yeah, it's funny because I usually play Animal Crossing music, and I was like, I'm a boys on the lo-fi today. I usually play Animal Crossing because I like the music for Animal Crossing. I never played it though. I would love to play Animal Crossing, but I don't have a Switch, so I can't do that. Sadly. How do I play it? Yeah, I heard that a lot of people, like, they bought it and then they, like, don't play it anymore. Or some people do, but then a lot of people don't. I mainly want to Switch so I can play the Kirby game. I would love to play the Kirby game. Especially because, so, my community, we love Kirby here. It's why I have, like, 3 Kirby emotes. And I feel like that would be like a great thing to play the Kirby game, but I need a Switch for that. But then I would also need a capture card, so I know I'll probably get it one day, just not yet. Especially levels. I have a lot of other games I plan on playing first. Like, I still never played Red Dead Redemption. I never played the Red Dead 2, the story. And that's why I plan on playing soon. I'm so excited to play it though. I heard really good things about it. I heard it's really good and it's really sad, and I'm probably gonna cry when I play it, but I'm so excited to do it. I own it. So. Cause, okay, so I've played the online, but I never played the actual story. So I'm excited to play it. That would probably have to be after I beat Dark Souls though. Yes. I love online. That's so good. The only thing I hate about it though, so I have PTSD of online games because of GTA. You can imagine. You Dark Souls? What do you mean? Hannah! Thank you for the host. Hi. I've been playing Dark Souls 3. I'm stuck on like 2 bosses. It's really fun. Yeah, GTA Online is no. Hi. Thank you, Ariel Spell, to do that. How's your streams been? Yeah, online? No. But I have that game, and I plan on playing it. I have it in my library. I own it. Someone's Fortnite? Never. I'm doing great. How are you, Hannah? Not the Fortnite. I will never install that, and I have my reasons. I also don't really like online games. Wait, did they really? Good. I just spelled that wrong. Oh, they did. Yeah. I have Jedi Fallen Order. I just haven't played it yet. I also need to watch the movies again. I haven't watched them since I was a child, so I don't know anything. I should probably watch them again. Resident Evil. Wait, is that Resident Evil? I'm dumb. Oh yeah, it is. Okay. I recognize Mr. X because of Harry. I know Harry streamed Resident Evil once. Resident Evil 2. I would love to play Resident Evil games. I know people are like, you don't have to play them in order, but I'm gonna. To be honest, I'm probably not gonna play the first one. Is that bad? I probably should start with the first one, shouldn't I? Also, Harry. Oh! By the way, y'all, you're gonna love this. So, I've been playing The Witcher 2 on YouTube. By the way, and I decided after I get to once I get to Act 2, I'm gonna be streaming The Witcher 2 instead, because I tweeted about it. People are like, why okay, why do you hate Geralt? He is hot and a badass. I must know the answers. I need to know the answer to this. What's the reason? Also, Geralt with a ponytail is hot. I gave him a ponytail in The Witcher 2. It looks so good. No, it was funny because literally so there was this guy who this dwarf sells books. He's a librarian, okay? But then on the side he cuts your hair. Yes. When I saw that Henry Cavill played Geralt, I was like, and he does such a good job. I love the games and I love the show, and I need to read the books, but they're so expensive. Oh yeah, he played all the games. He also read all the books, which helps so much for him being Geralt, because he knows Geralt a lot because he played the games and he's read all the books. I can't wait to play The Witcher 3. I'm so excited to play The Witcher 3. I've played them before, but it's just been like 5 years since I played them. I don't think it's been 5 years, probably like 4 or 3 years. So I can't wait to play it again. Wait, did he really? Like, I'm gay, but like Henry Cavill, he is hot. I will say that. Okay, he is. Especially as Geralt. Him as Geralt is. Also, Jaskier is my favorite. No. When in the first season, it's not spoilers, but like first season, he said he was trying to flirt, and he said, "You have the most lovely neck." I was like, no. I couldn't stop laughing. Just a coin to your witcher. You know, okay, funny story. That's my favorite song. I have like 5 awards of that song. You what? You what? It's fun. I'm so confused. What? Sorry, I had to move my light. Yeah, I know. Wait, did you die by a zombie? I'm dying. Oh shit, sorry. I'm crying. I almost pressed install for a game that has 120 gigs instead of play for a different game. Whoops. My bad. Let's not talk about it. That didn't happen. Wait, let me make sure I don't have Steam overlay on. Oh, I do. Ooh. Let's turn that off. What the fuck? I didn't press that. Okay. I hate this person controlling me right now. Mood. So you need help, Harry? I can't wait. I hope you don't like Lydia. Lydia sucks. Fuck Lydia. I mean, what? No, I found a video, and in the comments was just Lydia Sims, and I was like, oh shit. Depends on your computer. I would do high. I mean, to be honest though, graphics in Skyrim is already shit, but it looks good in my game because I play with mods. And I have like lighting stuff. No, no, because I was traveling somewhere. I think on my first playthrough, I hated Lydia. I was like going somewhere on a horse and she was following me. I should have. So she was following me and I don't know what happened, but she like she just disappeared. I was like, what the fuck? Where the fuck did she go? And then I found out, okay? I found out she died. Like, what? Like 30 hours later, I found out that she died. And I was like, oh. So that's what happened. He just fucking died. You know, all that running really won her out into that grave. Wait, hold on. Do I have it set as The Witcher? I think I have it set as The Witcher. I do. I have my fucking game as The Witcher, not Dragon Age. That's so awkward. Because I was playing The Witcher yesterday. I recorded The Witcher. I need to, edit it. I was editing it, but I need to finish. Her own fault, she can't complain to me. I love the hating of her. Oh, I hate it too, Harry. I hate it. Isn't it annoying? No, because it does that even on like borderless, you can't fucking tab out, really. It's so frustrating. Wait. Why did I go this way? What pickle? Hi, welcome to. I have to fucking play on medium because of my. No, I could play on high. It's just my CPU that makes it be like, oh yeah, you need to play on medium. Oh, I found the issue. What the fuck? I had you. I updated my graphics card. Did that like change all my settings? That's awkward. Claire died. Okay, it's better. There's one setting, okay, that literally fucks with the FPS. Whoa, Leon, your turn, buddy. I'm dying. Hey, Anna, do you like how my mic sounds? Thank you for hydrate. Oh, great reading. How do I best describe it? Our noble target was angered by the destruction of our soldiers, and in an attempt to regain attention, accidentally stabbed a revered mother in the hat. Somehow Red Jenny is assumed manufacturer, but we have received several propositions from witnesses to the events. Oh no. Oh no. Wait, did I? Oh, okay, I did get it. I was confused. Hell yeah! Leon comes and see Claire's body just leaves. No, okay. You know what was funny? You know what's funny? So yesterday I was farming in Dark Souls 3. And when I was farming, yeah, it is his first time playing. He's never played Skyrim. Well, okay, so he played it a little bit once.
Are you? I suppose not. Haven was trying.
Yeah, no, wanna know what he did? He didn't do the side quest after we were like, do the side quest. He was like, nah. I'm gonna go straight into the story, and then he rage quit. He raged because he was on the, you know, the dragon? On the hill? Yeah. He was doing this at like level 15 instead of like level 40 or 50. Okay, anyways. What was I saying? Do y'all know what I was saying? I forgot. Oh, jeez! Inquisitor, the traders of Ferelden drive almost... Wait, what? Traders of Ferelden drive almost as hard at... Bleh, bleh. Can't speak! A trader... The traitors of Ferelden drive almost as hard a bargain as the merchant princes in Antiva, but managed to negotiate a fair price for the location of the road from the fellow mayor. Oh yeah, there is. I want to buy it. I really, if I buy it, I would 100%. Well, fishing comes with the game, Hannah. I have it. I don't have that. It comes with a bunch of new quests, Harry. And stuff. I don't have it, and the main reason is because a lot of my mods aren't compatible with it. The tunnels are complete and our agents slip in and out of Herbronach. I don't think that's how you say it, but I'm gonna pretend it is. Like shadows, the workmen who were digging out the caves discovered some old dwarven items there as well. Mundane things such as pots and furniture, but they brought a fair price among some collectors. Liliana. Hey, at least I got money. It sounded fine to me here. Oh no. Did I do any others? Oh wait, no, that was all of them. I did 3. Oh! Okay, there was one I wanted to do, but I don't know why, but it like completely disappeared. I'm so confused. I had something here, and it vanished. And I couldn't do it yet because everyone was doing something. Or the person I wanted to do the thing was not available. I don't know how to get it. I'm not gonna stop the war. Oh, wait, never mind, I found it. This is the one. Yeah, because I didn't vote for this. And I wanted to do this one. No, okay, so my favorite thing in Skyrim, I loved killing people. That sounds really fucked up. But so because of that, I love the Dark Brotherhood. It's my favorite. And excerpt from a Ben Hasrat information report. All information about the 5 bellies of Hunterfell has come back negative. The Tal Vasoth is not the bard The elf is not the Mortalitasi, and the dwarf is not the smuggler. And an addendum. We've learned that the Ferelden is a Venatori agent, but unless we can link her to a specific background quickly, we will lose the lead. We must remove the target immediately to stop Duke Titus from falling prey to the Venatori interest.
All right.
Wow, Audrey! I'm sorry, I like it. It's my favorite. It's really fucked up though, but it's my favorite. I have most to do over here. Okay. A letter delivered by messenger bird. My name is Sister Palette. My sister and I have been accompanying a handful of injured Inquisition soldiers through the Frostbanks. As they are no longer able to fight for the Inquisition, they wish to return to their families in Ferelden. These are strange times, and many seek the solace of forgiveness. I'm not gonna finish reading that. That already sounds horrible. I'm not gonna do that. I mean, that sounds really nice and really good, and so I should do that, and so I'm not gonna. Sounds horrible, sorry. The Alamari ruins found in the mountain passages outside Haven have finally given up more of their secrets. Pointing to one of the larger islands off the northern coast of Ferelden, the island is quite large and covered in dense wilderness. So searching it will be an involved process according to the runes. However, there should be some connection to the original disciples of Andraste and the guardian of the sacred ashes.
Inquisitor.
So I remember that there was a dragon. We encountered him in Origins. Ew, Sarah, why are you approving? That's cringe. Anyways. What the fuck? I don't know what I was just saying. I forgot. Oh. Wow. Look at that. I don't... Okay. Now loaded. Also, for Dragon... Not... Oh my god. For Skyrim... See, so I played Skyrim first. And because I played Skyrim first, I can't play Oblivion. Like, if you want to play Oblivion before Skyrim, or else you won't be able to get into it. Oh yeah, y'all can see this now. Oh, what the fuck, mouse? Y'all can see this now. You couldn't before. Because that's where my face cam was, but then I moved it. I'm not gonna bring souls. You know who I will bring though? Dorian. Let me also bring Cassandra and Varric. Yeah. I like their banter. It's nice. We are going to the Western Approach now. I've been wanting to go here, but I didn't last time. Hopefully there'll be tomes because we're trying to get that thingy. And I would like to get it. Ooh. Hey, Dorian. Also, the multiplayer for this game is actually shit. I was like, no wonder it's so bad because I played it yesterday with some friends. It's horrible. It was horrible. Oh no, it's okay. Don't worry about it. I hope you're enjoying Resident Evil though. That's definitely a game that's on my list of games to play. I would love to play Resident Evil.
Visitor, welcome to the Western Approach. We've sighted Warden activity to the southwest, but no one's been close enough to figure out what they're doing. Between the sandstorms and the vicious wildlife, we haven't made it far out here. One of my men got too close to a poison hot spring and gave me a slightly delirious report of a high dragon flying overhead.
High dragon?
This might just be the worst place in the entire world. Be careful out there.
That's not much of a report.
Awfully vague for a scout's report.
Apologies, Inquisitor. I'll try to get a better survey of the area once we've established a forward camp. We intercepted a Venatori messenger and, persuaded him to give up the orders he was carrying.
I'm so sorry.
This entire place. It just feels like something's not right. Be careful.
Hi. Okay. Intercepted Venatori message. Octavian with our allies. Wait. With our allies, the Templars redeploying and abandoning their mine in the canyons, we will now focus our efforts on the excavations and the summoning attempts. Go have a word with our White Claw associates. I'll be sending future resources your way. Severus. Severus, so is it Severus Snape? I'm sorry. I'm sorry. No, I'm not. No, I'm not sorry.
What is it? See for yourself, sir.
Oh! I knew it! I knew this is where you can get that. And that's something I need. Hot! Let me save. So that's like, there's this like, thing that we need, and it's only in the Western Approach. Oh no. We'll see if we can kill it. I don't know if we'll be able to. Snape, Snape, Severus Snape. Ah! Is my game loud, by the way? Make it too loud, let me know. Okay. I like how it gets like slow when you're doing like one of those good attacks. Well, I know that my game is pretty high up on like the audio. And I noticed that after my last stream too. It was pretty loud. But I was like, maybe just Dark Souls. Yes, please do. I want Dorian. He's my favorite. Also, y'all can see their health this time. Because before, you couldn't see health. It's really frustrating. Frost essence. Oh! I don't have accessories on you. I need to remember to like... I tend to like... This is what I tend to do a lot, okay? I tend to like do like this. And I need to not do that. Oh. I didn't mean to do that. What the... Game? What the fuck? Counter-Strike? Oh no. I need a new weapon. See, okay, I like this weapon, but I don't like how it looks in cutscenes. Because it's so big and obnoxious. And like, it has literally covered people's faces because it's so in the way. It's annoying. Ooh, leather! Okay, I can't level up myself, but I'll level up Cassandra. Champion. Okay. I think everyone is good except for my own character. My own character can't. For fuck's sakes, dude, could you all leave me alone? I find this very rude. You let him know. I forgot to change it to beacons again.
I don't like this.
I keep forgetting to change it to beacons, not Linktree. My bad. I'll need to remind myself. Poor dog. Okay, can we go? Wait. There's something up here, and I don't know what. What's up here? I don't actually know what's up here. What's up here? Oh, red derium. I'm not gonna do that. I mean, what? No, I'm not gonna do that because that makes Varric like me. Especially because it's with me right now. So...
What are the odds that all these people just happen to die here?
You know, you don't just die here. Property of Frederick. University of Orlais. Okay.
These supplies were intended for someone out in this desert. Stolen, perhaps?
What happened here?
Nobody should be out here but Grey Wardens. Something's very wrong.
Probably the Venatori. I wouldn't be shocked. He was attacking. I'm confused. What's attack? Ah! Found it! I was like, what's attacking me? I found what's attacking me, by the way. Yet again, a dog. Oh look, another dog. Who just killed an innocent animal? That is rude! Wasn't me. It was one of them. I didn't do it. Didn't do it. Didn't do it. Oh my god. If one more of you shows up, I swear. Please. Old Chantry trail signs. The Chantry used these symbols long ago to mark trails to hidden locations. They're often mistaken by passersby as simple carvings in the rocks and trees.
Chantry symbol out here. Odd.
Odd? That means there's something here. There's something out here. I'm not gonna track it right now though. Oh yeah! We can get the courtyard and stuff. I kind of forgot about that. I forgot. There's a thing over there. That's also where we need to go. But I don't know if I'm gonna do that today. Especially because I don't know what level I need to be. And I also know what the fuck is that? Dragon! Shit, a high dragon. A high dragon. Beautiful dragon. Beautiful. Okay. I like me a high dragon. Look, dragons are pretty. If you say they're not, you are wrong. Yeah, I remember my first playthrough, I would just collect the elf fruit just because it said elf in it. But now it becomes like a thing where you just can't stop. It's just everywhere. You can't just stop collecting the elf fruit. It's there. I'm gonna collect it. Do you imagine? She just has like a bunch of elf fruit in her pockets. Like, take out your pockets. She just empties her, or empty her pockets. She empties her pockets and there's just like 500 elf fruit. In one. And then like 500 more in the other. Oh god, what the fuck is this? Oh no. What the fuck are you? Oh no. Wait. Can Dorian revive people? I don't remember. I know that's why I was bringing Solas, because he can revive people. I mean, so can I, but then if I die, then, another person can revive. Big brain. Oh, fuck. Sorry, I'm my mind! They're dead. Hi, Slang, how are you?
We can't cross this.
Someone at
Oh,
will have a solution.
great. Doing so long, yes. I'm glad that you're just doing great, you know? Not the swong-tastic. Oh no, what the fuck is that? You're doing... No. Oh fuck. Basically doing yourself, I hate it here. You know? It's always a party when the swan shows up. Literally. Oh, that's a phoenix? Okay. You sewed your swan, that's why, isn't it? That's why you can't go near it. Kidding. Hi, Ashley. They can't handle it. Hi, Ashley. How are you? It's been a minute. Wait. Are those your emotes? They're so cute! I love your emotes. They're so cute. Ooh, elf fruit. I have too many of these. Time to add to the collection. Ah! Where the fuck? I don't know where that thing just came from. That scared me. I pickle new emotes, I agree. I love your emotes, they're so cute. My day is going good. How is yours? Also, I got a new mic, so I sound way more clear, and also it picks up me screaming now. My old mic wouldn't pick up me screaming or yelling a lot of the time, which was very frustrating because then like you wouldn't know what I was saying sometimes. Oh, I love the evil one. That's so cute. The heart and the evil one are my favorites. I need an evil emote. I have like a... I have a knife emote, but I don't have an evil one, surprisingly. Especially because, like, the shit I do in video games. I need one. I also really want to get a hug emote of my Dragon Age character hugging a Nug. Because Nugs in this game are so cute. They're like bunnies things. They're adorable.
Goodbye.
Yeah. It sounds... Oh my god, if one more of you show up, please go away. Oh, what the fuck? I animated my knife emote. I just added an effect to it. That's really it. What's here? I don't wanna... No, I don't wanna... I don't wanna... I'm 5'4". No, literally, one of my mods, you don't want to know how tall he is. This dude is like 6 foot. And I was like, you, what the fuck? I'm short in comparison. I'm average height for a woman. Commander of the defense of Abnett Fortress. Oh, hi. Taller than me. How tall are you? Where can I find Venatori? I need Venatori tomes. I know there are some here somewhere. Also, I need to not go that way because that's where I need to be. And so we're not going there. Oh! Hey, if it makes you feel any better, you're taller than one of my friends. She's like 4 or something. I think she's like 4 or 5. Everyone loves it because it's so weird. Pickle, I love this emote. I agree. Me too. What the fuck? Why are there so many of you? Please go away. There's like... Oh my god. I have fought like 20 of them. I'm not even counting. There's so many. Yeah, I really want to get a Switch so I can play the Kirby game, because we all know Kirby's like the thing here, and I would love to play the Kirby game. You know, gotta get mouthful mode, and her mouthful mode has that Kirby. I'm 5'4". I was gonna type it. Why? Because I know you said you have to like the mute thingy. I'm dead. Oh. Oh, okay. Why does that do like nothing? Oh. Hi, Kay, how are you? What? Are you shitting my dick? Dude, why is everyone so tall? Okay.
What's a dasher from the Merchants Guild doing in the middle of a battle against ancient evils?
I could ask the same thing of a pampered.
Armature shitting your dick.
Pampered? Nobody's peeled a grape for me in weeks.
Talk to Josephine. She can arrange something.
I'm crying. I need to sell shit. What? What do you mean what? Harry was saying hi. Well, how are you, Kay? Katy Perry. Sorry, constantly you're saying I call you that because it's funny. See, he calls you that. If you don't want me to call you that though, like, let me know. You got COVID? Oh my god. I'm so sorry. I hope you're taking care of yourself. I hope you're resting. I hope everything please get better. I know being sick sucks and having COVID is I haven't had it, thankfully. But I hope you recover. Do you have vaccines? Oh no. You know, great start to the new year, got COVID. Okay. I'm pretty sure at one point I probably did have it, but cause I was sick at some point and I didn't realize that I probably did have COVID. I'm not sure. Wait. It's more like a bagel? More like a bad pickle! Oh, she thought it was headache, but it turned out to be COVID. Oh no. Nah, butt chilling? No. Never heard of it. The cheese wheel. Oh, that makes sense. I'm sitting in a position, and I know for a fact once I move my legs, I'm gonna hate my life. Why are you not attacking it? Please attack it. It's attacking you. Why aren't you attacking it? My muscles always feel like that, and that's just because I... The fuck? That's just because I haven't been working out, but I did start to finally do that. And so I feel better. It's just from like not doing anything. Oh my god! Dude, if I get attacked one more time, it's like I don't get attacked as much as I do in this area. Oh my god. I don't think I've ever gotten attacked this much in my life. Or in a game. I could do this all day. You know, I'm running. Let's go. No, oh my god. Yeah, drink soup. The drink soup. I mean, yeah, that too. I meant, make sure you eat soup and stuff. I hope you feel better soon, Kay. Getting sick sucks. And I want everyone to feel happy. And, not sick. Healthy. Dude, what are y'all doing? Please tell me you're not still attacking it. I'm going to camp because, I need to. Y'all are literally about to die. So we keep getting attacked. And I need to level up the Inquisition stuff so I can get more health because I don't have much, and it's because of that. Oh, you have to be kidding. Who died? Oh no. Oh my god. Me and Dory were the only ones who actually survived that.
Inquisitor.
My phone hasn't been working. I'm trying to fix it at the moment so I can do stuff. But I haven't been posting on TikTok as often. I have to post through my fucking computer. It's so annoying. I'm not getting that. Okay, what do I do now? See, okay, there is this, but I'm not gonna do it yet. I'll do it later. Because this is a I remember this is a dragon quest. And so I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it until I can kill dragons. 'Cause dragons. I like dragons. We're gonna kill all of them eventually. There's something up here. Oh wait. Wait. I went the wrong way, but you know, we're here now. Hi! Dragons, yeah. Dragons. Gotta love that dragon, see? I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I should go. Dragon Age. Ooh. No, hold on. Let me fight them first. Dragon Age. Ooh. I have a friend. Blech. I have a friend who calls me Audrey. That's my name on.
This is a big operation. What's going on here?
Stuff. Anyway, that's why my name is Audrey on Discord. It's spelled differently though because someone like spelled it wrong, and so that's why that's my name. I need you. Oh, I don't want that. Ooh, ancient warden logbook. So close we nearly reached him. Made it down to what looked like a dwarven tike, where the song was actually audible. Okay. What, like the app? Audible. Sorry. Real and thrumming through the air, not just in our heads. It rattled through the Lyrium pillars and shook the earth beneath our feet. So it's dreadful tempo. We lost 30 men in the last cave-in, and the warden commander is abandoning the mission. I tried to argue for one last push, but the rock is too unstable down there. We'll have to find another archdemon somewhere more solid. Oh, I didn't mean to do that. That doesn't sound good. Oh no. Wait. Wait. Oh my gosh. Pog? Oh. Ah! Look at that. That looks sexy. That looks sexy. I didn't realize that was hair. I like that. That looks nice. That looks nice. Where is the thing I'm looking for? Is it over here? We came here for a book. Or a tome. Okay. Now we can return to Vivian. We finish a quest. That'll help her restore the circles. And I want to. And I have a reason for it. What the fuck? Where can I find... There's one thing I'm looking for and I don't know where to find it. Okay, I'm also gonna go over here. There's also something else, but I'm not gonna get it yet. I'm gonna get that thing though. And I know that we need to go to the thingy, but I really need, I need the thing for Night Enchanter, or I need the tomes. Hold on. Not the tomes, sorry. I mean, technically yes. Because I want to do a Rift Mage. I can do Necromancer. I've ever done 4 Necromancer. But I want to do Rift Mage. I've never done Rift Mage. I have done Night Enchanter though. I like Rift Mage though. In war, in victory. Oh wait, wasn't that the thing for the Grey Wardens? Oh, wait. Let me do after we get to camp. There's something I want to look at. I want to look at something. Wait, do you think there's something for Anders? Because of what he did, there must be something in this game about him. And we did talk to Hawk about him as well. I don't know, he's like one of the most interesting characters for me. Hey, where's the last one? Okay. I'm gonna like just go on a hunt later in the game for all of those. Probably before we do DLCs and stuff. And I'm gonna do that later. Also known as after I do some other things. Then we'll come back for that rift. I think that sounds good. There's also a main story thing in this area. But I don't want to do it yet. What puts her? Wait, is this Venatori? I need Venatori. Liz. I need the Venatori. Uh-oh. But like, here's the thing. I need Venatori, but it can't be like the ones that spawn with his class. It has to be like... not stuff for his class. Did that say 69?
We should look around.
Nice. Nice. Look around where? Ah. Oh. I can't go down there. Oh yeah, let's look around, find the thing. Oh wait. Can't do it. Oh, a shard. Wait. I didn't know that was here. Lord Seeker. Oh, Calperia. Calperia. See, his just shows like letters. Stories. Oh. So it like shows stuff like magic and things. Okay. You can also find other letters if you accidentally like miss one. Or like you didn't read it and you want to read it later. That's what I did for Dragon Age 2. And I kept saying, oh yeah, I'm gonna read this later. I never did. Varric! Oh, Varric's like throwing these things Varric's throwing onto the ground. With like one of his abilities. Dorian. Well, then heal. Ah! Nice. Should I give her new stuff? Wait. Yeah, let me remove this one. Let me replace it. Ranged. Should I... Do you have a necklace? No, I don't. Okay. Oh, I think I destroyed enough rifts where I got an operation for rifts. Nice! Okay, so... Shards. Oh. Right. There's a Venatori mission. I need to do that. I just need to remember not to destroy the stuff for it though. Hi. The stuff in the red area. Caravan of refugees drove off road so we could collect out of view of Imperial soldiers. Half dead, but you could pick up the wounded. Why am I invisible? Okay. I'm a mage and I'm stealthy. I'm in the stills. I don't know how I am, but I am.
Honestly, how many keys does one ancient temple really need?
Lots. It needs like all of them. It's true. Doesn't it also count the DLC too? Because I know one of the DLCs has them as well. One does, the other doesn't. Am I able to check? Okay. I need a few thousand and then I'll be able to level up something for Inquisition. Wait. Oh, I was going the wrong way. Whoops. I didn't mean to do that. I killed like a bunny thingy. Whoops. I didn't mean to do that. I didn't mean to do that. My bad. Okay, let me go down here. And then we're gonna leave. Sort of. There's like a key over here. We need to get them. A shard, I mean. How am I gonna do that though? No idea. But we'll figure it out. Wait. There's stairs. Oh, there's a cave. Why is there a cave? What's it for? Oh! Dead people! Lovely! As dead bodies. Oh no. Almost eligible note. Be careful. Wait. Jeanette. Be careful bringing back the equipment from the university. Marcus saw some dangerous looking folks skulking about in the caves near the road. Bandits or brigands or intellectuals of some ilk. I do not know what they might want with us, or our research materials, but it's better to be safe than sorry. Frederick. I'm gonna go in the cave. They said not to go in the cave. And so I go in the cave. You say not to do something, I'm gonna— the lost idol. The relief carvings of the swab. Oh. I was kind of hoping it would be the other lost idol. You know, like the lost idol I get, that— or like something about the lost idol that, Barricades? We know they were here. They put up those awful statues of Andraste looking snobbish. Everywhere they go, not much of a secret location. We know they found a way to reverse tranquility. But so far, nothing we've uncovered has told us about how they did it. I hate that statue. She keeps staring at it. At me. Sneering at me? What statue? I'm confused. But then again, I'm always confused. That's not what I meant. I need to sell. Haven't yet. I'm not gonna do those, by the way, because I don't have the patience, but I'm just gonna collect them, and if I complete a set, then I complete a set. I'm just not gonna do it personally. I don't want to. I have a canker sore. It hurts. And then I keep making it worse because I keep accidentally biting it. Whoops. My bad. Don't drink at the mine again, order fired. Doran. I thought that said Dorian for a second. I was like, Dorian? Yeah, well, they're a bit in the ground. Actually, not even in the ground. They're a little bit scully. You know, a little bony. Bony bone. Sorry. I'm gonna investigate the Venatori thing. Hopefully there'll be some Venatori in the mine. And I can kill them. I need the Venatori for the thingy. I need it. How do we get up there? Oh wait, isn't it the other way? Right, because we have to go through a cave. Hi! Bye. Oh wait. Okay, bye. Duh. They buy it and die, yes. The best way. Hi, Con. How are you? Hope you're good. Well. Sorry. I'm good. Glad you're doing good. Or well, how's Destiny 2? So you were playing that. I don't remember which one it's in. I think it's in this one. Oh no. Not the spiders! Ah. Ah! I didn't know it was right there. I wasn't looking right in front of me. No, I hate spiders. Don't even. They make me uncomfortable. Ew, look how it like rolled up. I don't like that. I don't. Ugh. It's fine. You don't have fear of spiders. Well, I do. And then I tend to play every single game that has spiders. Cause I hate myself, clearly. Ugh, I don't like spiders. Please die. Get away. I don't want to. No, not mine. Ah! Why are you running at me so fast like that? It was running at me like it was on a mission to kill me. Oh, wait. Because it was. Note from a Templar. Benedict. Pull up stakes, all plans for no. Mine. In the western approach are off. The Inquisition's on the move and headed your way. Dump all the bodies and relocate to Empress Dulin. Bruno. Hi.
Poor bastards got lucky. They only died.
He only died. I was kind of hoping I could kill the Venatori. I need to kill Venatori. But it can't be a certain type. Can't be a certain group because that's like a quest, and so it doesn't count. I don't know where to find it. Maybe it's like over here. And so I need to go back to Skyhold. Have you been winning, Con? I hope you have. Oh yeah. So apparently Dark Souls they're putting the servers back online. Which means I get the funny messages again. Ha. Because, so they completely removed the messages for offline. If you play offline, you don't get the funny messages. Oh, apparently I have to be careful about using embers. I'm scared. I don't know if I'll actually play online, to be honest with you. Commander have completed initial estimates on the construction of...
what we discussed earlier, Ambassador.
I found the money. The Inquisition will compensate the families of those we lost at Haven.
Thank you.
Estimates on the construction of the elevated bridge over the toxic sulfur pits in the western approach. The work will require 10 of our engineers and 6 wagon loads of lumber, but the finished construction will allow troops to move through the region at a safe distance from the poisonous gas. What are forces? Reports from the Griffin Wing outpost say that construction of a safe path through the western approach's larger sulfur pit is complete. Our soldiers completed the bridge without incident, and it has open routes to previously inaccessible areas of the approach. You can expect the results the next time you travel the region. What clip? Hope it's a good one. The teapot. That was funny. Yeah, I went back to clip that because that was funny. I forgot to clip it, to be honest. I don't know how to bring. Should we bring Sarah? Oh, I just realized I bring my normal party. Okay. I always bring Sarah, Dorian. Yeah, okay. I bring Sarah, Dorian, and then I also bring Bo. We won every match. We had to take our frustration on a dungeon out on people. Mood.
Your worship.
Let me save. Oh my god. I have played this game for 33 hours already. We haven't even done any, like, story quests for a few streams. Because I have to explore so I'm able to do some story stuff. Well, okay, we did we started one. Saying you're bad even though you won. I don't know, I don't see how you're bad if you won. Hi. Pickle, 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 Sorry. It's funny because I got that in my head now because of that my commands. It's that pickle song remix. Pickle, pickle, pa pickle, 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 pickle. Oh no. See, I'm like, I should get back into that game, but then I'm like, I don't know. Because the people I played with don't play it anymore. Wait, please. Yes! Oh, fuck you, die. Die, you are dead. Hey, Venatori, fuck you. I need something. Please die. I would, Harry. I post mine on YouTube. Welcome to content creation. You're gonna get hate either way. It's just something that happens. Oh yeah, you know that TikTok I made about all the characters of Dragon Age? Someone commented, no. Just literally N-O. That was the comment. Oh, what the fuck in the What in the sacrifice is this? Oh. They sacrifice an elf. Ah. They didn't drop what I needed. I'm upset. What in the shit ass shit? What in the ass shit? In the shithole? Oh yeah, I posted a TikTok recently where I accidentally killed the Firekeeper in Dark Souls, and I fucking no, right after it, okay, I started to panic because I was like, how do I level up without her? It was funny. I didn't post that part though, but it was funny. And someone commented, they were like, why did you do that? And I was like, I didn't mean to. Ah, 37 minutes. The best nap. That was my drink. I didn't know you would hear that. What the fuck? I'm crying. I could make it again for you if you really wanna. I thought you were the Darkspawn thing. That's what I thought it was. Yeah, I don't know a good time. A lot of people say like 10 p.m. or 10 a.m. EST, and other people say like 3 p.m. And I'm like, when? When's the best time? It's hard to understand. What the fuck is that? Hi, that looks like death down there. It's 30 p.m. for you. I know. Don't you know he was in the UK? Yeah, I know. How do I... Barley. Oh, hi! There's more Venatori! Would you like to die a sweet, lovely, horrible death? The United Kirby! I was mentioning that earlier. At some point, whenever I manage to get a Switch, I'm gonna play the Kirby game, because I think that'll be like a funny thing, because we all like Kirby. Hey, Bull, can you stop approving? That's fucking rude. Excuse me. They probably do. Can y'all please drop the thing I need? They won't drop it. It's annoying. All I want in life. No, don't attack. I'm What is this? Wait, hold on. How close is that? Well done. That's so big. Chicken. I agree. Hi, Shan. How are you? Hi. Do you like that curb, bussy? I do. Stop approving! Okay. No. Let me loot first. I'm good. If you approve one more time, I'm gonna fight you again. Oh wait, I never fought him. I'm gonna fight you. He keeps approving, it's pissing me off. I don't want him to approve. Wait. Wait. What? Oh boy. Wasn't there like another thing, or am I just dumb? I'm probably dumb. Okay. I need to remove Iron Bolt because he keeps approving of my actions, and it's rude. Shit.
Inquisitor.
Oh. I'm sorry, I'm dumb. Sarah, Dorian. And let's bring Vivian. We're gonna need Vivian in endgame, so I need to start bringing her more often and start leveling her shit up. So. Oh yeah, she's Night Enchanter. I forgot. Forgot about that. What's your weapon? Ooh, that's shit. Take this. What about your armor? Oh! Sorry, I'm trying to get, like, I'm trying to kill them because they're supposed to drop something for me. And then when I get that thing, I can finally get my stuff. This is the third one I've fought, so please drop it for me. So Dark Souls is gonna have... I don't know if I'm actually gonna play online, to be honest, when that it goes online, the servers. I'm unsure. Like, I wanted to originally, but when I've like been playing only on offline, I feel like it would be weird playing on online. Pickle, 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 don't fuck me in the ass, pickle, 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 pickle. Yeah, to be honest, I feel like summoning NPCs, that's probably what I'm gonna end up doing. I did find an ember, by the way. I need to find more though. I'm mad that I like used all of my embers. I'm mad at myself for that. Because I'm struggling finding embers. No! Don't kill me. I'm the Inquisitor. You beat Borderlands 3. I love that for you. Easy clips. Hi, Moose. How are you? Okay, come on, can we get a shout out for Moose? Actually, I don't know if you're in a game or not. Thank you. Yeah, I'm gonna wait to see how it is, probably for like a week or two, and then I'll probably go online. I'm not sure. Hi, Moose, how are you? Good to see you. I was just thinking about you. I basically summoned you myself. Oh, I should... Hold on. Oh! Fun! To be honest, I probably won't be just because I stream. I don't really want to encounter hackers. But also, I want to get the funny messages, you know what I mean? Hidden stairway. It's the only reason I want... Ah! Oh, I didn't jump. I didn't fall. Ew, that's so fucking unfun, dude. Why do people do that just like on purpose? That's so mean. Oh! Look at those bones. Oh, hi. Why did you do that? God! I nearly did you for the rain. You came in like right when I was about to make a jump. It's going like, oh look. It's quite they all ah! No! No! It's gonna be like they all fell to their death and now they're by one boat. Hiding for the raid, what you were playing? Jackbox Body. Never played any of those. Yeah, I need to make it like quieter. My bad. I should do that. I have all my alerts pretty loud. Hiding for the raid. How was your stream? I hope you had a great time. If you came with the raid, hi. My name is Audrey. I'm a writer streamer here on Twitch. I play a lot of story-driven games. At the moment, I'm playing Dragon Age Inquisition. We're doing Evil playthrough. And I'm also, at the moment, I'm playing Dark Souls 3. And I'm also gonna soon start another game, which is The Witcher 2. I already started it and I'm like pretty far in, but I think I'm just gonna leave off of where I am on YouTube. So, I'm excited. The main reasons, because I have a lot of problems when I record, so I'm like, I'm probably just gonna stream it. I wonder what killed all the dead bodies. You know, me too. But we'll probably never find out. But now, go take care of yourself, go eat and stuff. Thank you for trusting your community with me. What the fuck? Okay. Where do I find them? I can't go this way. I feel like though it's like gonna be like over here, and I'm upset about that. I think Kirby killed them. I think you're right. Kirby must have killed them. Kirby just opened wide, and boom, they're dead. Kirby was like, eh. Look inside my mouth. I'm sorry. I should go. I should go. I should go. My foot fell asleep and now it's numb. Oh, hi! Look, it's the Venatori again. Could y'all please spawn the thing I need? That would be great! I need Venatori tomes. I'm not even tracking it. Why am I not tracking it? Cringe. I kept pressing the console. I thought I was pressing 1. Whoops. Oh my fucking god. Could they please drop it? I'm impatient. They won't drop the thing I need. It's very frustrating. Where's the operation? Bro! Calm down! Welcome back, Nandy. I don't know what the operation is. Why is everyone coughing? Because of this. And I don't know what the operation for it is. COVID? Yeah, you know? The air causing COVID. We're back in 2020. Dragon COVID. My favorite kind. Dragon COVID. You know, that dragon is pretty contagious. Sorry. He just caught fire. Could you imagine? That would be so dangerous. But like you could get different kinds. So one, you could either call fire or call ice. I'm getting phoenix scales. That is true. What am I hearing? I'm hearing like whispers. No, the blood falls. Wait, is it over here? I don't know where it is. There's an operation for this, right? But I can't find it. The worm. No, bring me nightmares of that worm. I'm gonna die. I don't know where it is. How do I get over here? Cause there's some over here. I can't find it. Maybe it's down here. Maybe I missed it. Oh my god, put a mask on another worm, right? That's what I'm saying. Another worm? Don't get me started on that worm. I have to kill a worm in Dark Souls. I haven't yet. But Nandy, thank you for the raid. If you need to go take care of yourself. If you need to go take care of yourself, you can do that. What the fuck? Who just died? Oh, Vivian died. I don't know if I can make... I'm not gonna try. Never mind. I was like, I don't think I can revive her. Oh, hi. If you don't give me the thing I need, I'm gonna scream! Thank you for the rain, Shadow Legend. Not the rain, Shadow Legends. Ooh, Minecraft. I haven't played Minecraft in so long. I know there was so many updates. Con, I forgot to turn that off. I was gonna turn them off. That's so embarrassing. Oh no, OBS froze. Oh no. OBS froze. Note to self. OBS, please. I can see my chat. I do, but the OBS is frozen. Hi. Could you respond, please? Please respond. Oh no. It's not. It's not. Yes, I need spell tomes. Please. You do hear Holly. Yeah, I think I need to restart OBS. It's not responding. Oh no. Oh no. No, that's not what I need. I don't need... That's... No, I need Venatori tomes, not spell tomes, sorry. Hold on, I need to fix OBS. I'm restarting. Oh no. Hi. Are we back? Oh no. Yeah, OBS literally froze when I turned off captions. Because captions doesn't work for some reason. Hey, what you doing? What? Huh? Um... Harry, can you hear me? What?